Hi, my name's Amelia and welcome to my vlog Sew Amelia, where I talk all about making a handmade wardrobe for me and my children. In this week's video I will be sharing all of the things that I made in August. So thank you to so many of you who come back and watch week after week. It's so nice to have you here and know that you're enjoying my videos. If you haven't yet subscribed, it would be great if you could do that and hit the bell icon so that you will be notified when I publish future videos. So I usually begin by sharing what I'm wearing, but I will do that later on in the video, so do stay tuned for what I'm wearing today. So I'll get straight into the video and share what I've made this month. I started out by making a couple of skirts, and the first one that I made was the Manuka skirt by Below the Kowhai. Now she's a New Zealand pattern designer and I love using her clothes. Previously I've made a lot of her patterns for children, but I did decide to try the Manuka skirt for adult women, although she does have a version for children as well. So here it is. And it's in this beautiful cotton poplin that I got from a Sew Hayley Jane box. And I actually initially made a dress for my daughter, and then I had enough left over to make a skirt for myself. So I used some red piping to really just bring out this central panel in the skirt, which is a faux button band, and I put on these lovely silver shell buttons from the Swagman's daughter. So the Manuka skirt is an A-line skirt. It's got a flat fronted waistband and elasticated back waistband, which makes it really lovely and comfortable to wear. Now my measurements fell into a size 10 and I made a size 10 and it fits beautifully. But what I do love about this pattern particularly is that because of the elasticated back waistband, you really can make it to fit your body. I think I have a slight sway back, and so actually I do need to sometimes bring in the elastic more than the pattern says to make it a really nice fit at my waistline. So I like that this pattern allows me to do that and make the waistband as fitted as I like. I think Below the Kowhai patterns are brilliant, especially for beginners. Her instructions are really clear and there are great photos throughout which really help to hold your hand through the making process. This skirt is actually a really quick and easy make. It's very enjoyable, and I do like that there are two different options for the pockets. For my version, I chose to make the pockets that are attached to the waistband because I really wanted to use the piping as a contrast here, and they are such lovely deep pockets. Don't know if you can tell, my hand goes all the way down. They are brilliant, especially when running around after kids at the park and collecting all sorts of stones and different treasures. But you can also make it with inseam pockets, so there are two different options, which is great. So I've already worn that one lots. It's actually the second time I've made that pattern, and I will probably make it more because it's just such a quick, easy, satisfying make, and it's lovely and comfortable to wear in the summer. The next skirt I made was also from a Sew Hayley Jane fabric. Now I've been wanting to make something in a black cotton gingham for a very long time. I saw a photo on Instagram that really inspired me and I wanted to make something similar to the inspiration photo. So when this fabric arrived, I squealed with delight and knew exactly what I wanted to make. And so I got started very quickly and made the By Hand London Jessica skirt. Now the By Hand London Jessica skirt is a beautiful skirt with a deep waistband which is panelled and curved, so it fits beautifully around your waist. It has three different options for the skirt. It has a pleated skirt, a gathered skirt and a full circle skirt. So I decided to make the gathered skirt as I thought that that would fit the best with the gingham fabric, and here it is. So here is my Jessica skirt, and you can see the panelled waistband. I didn't pattern match because I actually wanted to draw attention to the panelled waistband, although perhaps if I made it again I would try and pattern match a little bit more. And then the beautiful gathered skirt. Now it is a very full gathered skirt, but I really like that. It's so nice to swish around in, and this yarn dyed gingham is so soft and lovely to wear. It's a really good quality cotton gingham and I have really enjoyed wearing this one in the summer. Now my measurements are a bust of 36 inches, a waist of 30 inches and hips of 42 inches. And so that put me in the size 14 waist and the size 16 hip. Now the only thing I would say is that it did come up slightly on the large side, so it fits, but it's not quite as fitted as perhaps I would like. And despite it being an easy pattern, I just made so many mistakes along the way of this making process. I put the invisible zip in wrong, I sewed the wrong panels together on the wrong side. They were just silly mistakes. I think I must have been having a tired day. But I am pleased with the finished result, although I think I'm going to have to go in at some point and take in the waistband seams a little bit so that I can make it fit me a little bit better. The finished measurements said that the waist measurement was 30, 1/4 inches, but what I think I have learnt is that particularly if something is fitted around my natural waistline, I need to aim for a smaller finished measurement to get the fit that I like. I don't want it too tight, but I do want it quite a firm fit. Now, I should perhaps mention that the By Hand London Jessica skirt comes in UK sizes 6 to 24. Size 6 is a waist of 25 inches and hips of 35 inches. In size 24 is a waist of 44 inches and hips of 54 inches. And there's not a lot of excess in the finished measurements. It is quite a snug fitting garment, which I really like. Now, the next thing I made was something that I needed as a staple for my wardrobe, and that was the Forget Me Not Patterns Iris Tee. Now, I made this in a beautiful Tencel modal jersey from Guthrie Ghani, and I think Tencel modal jersey is quickly becoming one of my favourite knit fabrics to sew with. It is so soft and lovely to sew, and I just love wearing it. So here it is here. Now, the reason why I chose this pattern is I really love the sleeve detail on this, and I'll hold that up. So it is a pleated sleeve, but the pattern also comes with just simple plain sleeves, which I'm really glad about because I think this is going to be my go-to t-shirt pattern. I really love where the neckline sits on me, the sleeves fitted beautifully, and it was a slightly loose but still fitted silhouette, which I really, really like. So I've mentioned my measurements already, but I fell just outside of the size 36. So size 36 in this t-shirt pattern had a bust of 36.5 inches, which is a little bit bigger than me, but the waist is 29.5 inches and the hips are 40 inches, so both of those measurements are slightly smaller. However, I thought because it was a jersey make, I could probably get away with trying the size 36, and I'm really glad I did because I think it fits beautifully. There's still enough ease in there to feel comfortable and it's not too tight, and it tucks in beautifully to my skirts and jeans, which is what I prefer to wear it with. It was a really easy and very satisfying sew. Even those sleeves, they were a bit tricky to cut out and I had to make sure I drew on all the notches and everything. But putting them together was a breeze. The instructions were great and I really loved the way it came together. Now, I don't normally repeat patterns twice, certainly not in the same month. I do like sewing different things as I find it just keeps me interested in the sewing process. However, on this occasion, I could not resist making 2 of the Sandpiper swimsuit by Helen's Closet patterns. Now, my first go at this pattern was intended to be a toile anyway, as I was pretty nervous about sewing with activewear fabric, as it's not something that I've sewn before, and I'm still pretty new to sewing with knit, so I was a bit nervous about this one. But I bought this beautiful rainbow leopard print fabric from Little Legs Fabrics. All of these fabrics will be linked in the description box below if they are still in stock. But it was beautiful and easy to sew with, and I really, really enjoyed making these swimsuits. Now, I have to say the Helen's Closet pattern instructions were brilliant. It wasn't the easiest to sew, only because I'm not used to sewing with swimwear elastic, and there were a lot of new processes to learn. However, if you are a beginner or someone who's an intermediate sewist who hasn't sewn with this fabric before, I think this is a great place to start. The instructions really hold your hand. They are brilliant, and if you just go slowly and take your time, then I think even a beginner sewist would be able to put this one together. So this is the first one that I made. I made the top in a size 10 and I made the bottoms in a size 14. Now, there are 2 variations with the bottom. There is the full brief with the waistband, and then there are just the briefs which are a little less full. However, my bottom half is bigger than my top half, and I knew that I wanted a bit more coverage, especially running around on the beach after my children. So I did decide to go for the full brief, and I also went for the B cup in the top, and I chose to add the band underneath the chest area. Now, that one fit really well, but I did feel like the elastic was quite snug around my arms and over my thighs. It's fine, it fits, but it is slightly tight. So when I made my second Sandpiper, I actually sized up in the elastic. So I made the size 10 top with the elastic measurements for a size 12, and I made the size 14 bottoms with the elastic for a size 16. And that was actually much more comfortable, so I'm really glad I sized up for the elastic. So my second version I made with a beautiful Eco Nile fabric from Sew Me Sunshine, and here it is. So these are the briefs, and I made exactly the same thing again. The only change I made was to add a little bit of wiggle room in the elastic by sizing up. And here is the top. Now the only other difference that you'll notice with this particular one is I did use a swimwear lining fabric for this one, whereas I used a power mesh for the other. I don't, if I'm honest, notice a huge difference, although I think I prefer the feel of the swimwear lining, and I certainly preferred this one to sew. It was much easier than sewing the power mesh, so I would recommend the swimwear lining, certainly if you're not needing the extra support. It is so comfortable to wear. I wore this one when we were on holiday in Kent on the beach with my children, although the water was freezing so we didn't get in very far, but I can say it stood up really well to swimming in the sea. It was really comfortable to wear and it was lovely to sew with, so if I can I would definitely be sewing my next swimsuit from the Eco Nile fabric. I just like the fact that using this is helping to reuse waste that otherwise would just go into landfill. So the Helen's Closet pattern, if you do want more details on that, I did talk about it more in my August plans video in terms of the sizing, but she has got a full size range which is fantastic, and I just like the fact that I can pick and choose the different sizes. I had never thought I would sew my own swimwear, but I can say, although it was a fairly slow sew because a lot of the processes were new to me, I'm so pleased with the outcome. And I'm really glad that I made the toile first, as it means that the swimsuit that I made in that Eco Nile is finished in a way that I feel really pleased with. So the next thing I made are some pajamas from another fabric I received in a Sew Hayley Jane box. This was in one of my first boxes that I received. I thought I would make a dress initially, but then I just couldn't settle on the pattern that would match the double gauze. And then I saw Ruan, who is the Yorkshire sew girl, make a pair of pajamas, and I knew that that was what I needed to make with this fabric. So thank you, Ruan, for sharing that photo and making pajamas with this, as I adore these pajamas. If you haven't made pajamas in a double gauze, you really need to. They are perhaps the most comfortable thing that I own. When they go in the wash, I can't wait for them to come out again because I need to wear them every night. They are so cozy and comfortable. So I can definitely recommend pajamas in double gauze. Now, double gauze, if you've not sewn with it before, does have this lovely crinkly finish. You can choose to iron it or you can leave it as it is. I chose to leave it with this crinkly texture, especially as I knew I was going to be wearing it to bed, and I actually did not press it during the making process. I used finger pressing at times, or if I really needed to with the cuffs and things, I just used a little bit of steam and then some pressure finger pressing. So it doesn't perhaps look as clean in terms of the way it sits, but it sits fine when it's on, and it's very comfortable to wear. And now in a previous Sew Hayley Jane box we got some buttons from Ethel and Joan, and so I thought that I would use those because they matched really well with the fabrics. And I'll show you the bottoms. I did make both of the tops and the bottoms as in view C on the pattern, so I did add the cuffs, although I didn't add the piping. I just wanted the extra length that they provided, and since I'd already sewn a version with the cuffs, I felt like I knew how to do that, so I did that in the double gauze, although I don't think you can really see them. But yeah, I like the way that they look. The Carolyn pajamas are a slow sew. You do have to take your time, particularly with the collar on the shirt. So here, putting in the collar just requires you to just go really slowly and make sure you've got all of your notches in the right place. And then putting in the facing as well and just lining that up again just takes a little bit of time and going slowly. I did also use the walking foot on my machine. I think that really helps with sewing double gauze and just keeping everything from stretching out. So again, for that pattern I was able to make the sizes that best fit my body, which is what I just love about sewing. And I made the top in a size 8 and I made the bottoms in a size 14. Now I did still have to shorten the shirt by about 1.5 inches, and I still lengthened the shorts by about 2 inches, as I just like a little bit more coverage from a short. I love them, they're so cozy and comfortable. I think I'll be wearing them for a few months yet, even into the winter. I am quite a hot sleeper, and they are very cozy in that double gauze. Now I'll move on to what I'm wearing today, and that is the Billie jumper and dress by Tilly and the Buttons. Now I obviously made the jumper this time, and I made it in an Atelier brunette sweatshirting, and it's in Neroli Night. Now I have to confess, I've also gone and bought this in the white colorway because I just adore this sweatshirt. Now unfortunately we've had quite a grey and cold summer in the UK this year, which has meant that I've had more wear out of this sweatshirt than perhaps I would have liked. But I have been wearing it non-stop, so I have decided to buy it in the white colour, and I'm going to make another one because it has been so comfortable. Initially I thought I would make a different sweatshirt pattern. I wanted to try the linden, but I had this pattern and I just thought I'd like to save some money and try a pattern I already had. Now I finished the sweatshirt off with ribbing on the collar and the cuffs and the hemband, and I bought that from Guthrie Ghani, the matching Atelier Brunette ribbing, and that went in so easily. I really like it, and it means that the neckband sits quite nicely. I did find with the dresses that I made, the neckband sometimes seemed quite high and quite tight, but I have found it fine in this ribbing. It is a higher neckband, so if you don't like that you may want to drop or curve the neck slightly more, but I have found it's very comfortable. I'm very happy with where this sits on me. In terms of sizes, I did cut to the same size as I had made in the jumper, which was a size 2 at the bust, a size 3 at the waist, and a size 4 at the hips. However, I do think that just gives the jumper a little bit too much of a flare or a kick out over the hips. So what I'm going to do next time, I think, is just make the straight size 2 at the bust and size 3 at the waist. Having said that, I love this sweatshirt. It's very cozy, very comfortable, and I like where it sits when I wear my high-waisted skirts and jeans, and I've had lots of wear out of it already, and I will be making another one. Now I just thought I'd finish off with 2 dresses that I made for my daughter this month. When I made the By Hand London Jessica fabric in that gingham, I had enough left over to make her a dress. I don't like leaving too many remnants if I can avoid it, and I knew that I had enough to squeeze out a dress for her. So I did make the Bebekins Poly Pinafore, which is a pattern I've made for her before, and I absolutely love it. It's got the bodice with a square neckline, little flutters on the sleeve, which you don't have to put on, you can leave those off, and just have the plain bodice. It's got this waistband here and then a skirt. Now I made the skirt as long as I had the fabric to make it. It is supposed to be a little fuller than this, but I think this is fine, and it's certainly very comfortable for her to wear. I don't normally put my little girl in black. I wasn't sure about that, but I think in a gingham it's fine, and I think I can see this in the winter layered up with like a little pink long sleeve top and tights and things. I think it will look quite sweet, and it certainly looks really lovely on her in the summer as well. Now it's finished on the back with buttons and a placket that goes down into the skirt. It does come together really quickly and easily, and what I love about this pattern is that it goes from a size 000 up to a size 12, which is great. So it means she'll get lots of wear out of this pattern, and that's what I really look for in children's patterns. I don't want something that has quite a small age range, as they grow so fast. I want something that she's going to get quite a lot of wear out of. Now she is about to turn 2, and I made this in a size 3, so it is quite big on her, but in the summer I don't think that's a bad thing. It gives her a little bit of air when it's hot, and it means that in the winter I will be able to layer this over jumpers and long sleeve tops and tights and things. So I did make that in a size 3. Now Peony Patterns announced a release this month, which was their Posie dress, and when I saw it I just fell in love with it, and I knew I had a fabric that would work to make it up in, so I did buy the pattern. It was a new pattern this month to me, and it is their Posie dress. And I just loved the fact that it had these contrasting parts of the bodice and the pocket. It does have pockets. I think it's the first dress I've made her with pockets, and she was really intrigued by these. She wore this on the beach and kept putting stones in her pockets and then couldn't work out why she was leaning one way or the other. It was very cute. But yes, her first dress with pockets. And I also love the fact that you can add some trim along here. So I just had a lot of fun playing around with fabric and making this for her. It's actually made from an IKEA cot bed and duvet set that I just wasn't using on her bed. It looks quite strange with her wallpaper. So rather than just leave it languishing in the linen cupboard, I made it into a dress. So I used the cot sheet for the collar and for the pockets, and I used the duvet for the body of the dress. And then I ordered this trim, and I'll link to it below, in a mustard colour, and that was a bit of a risk because ordering things online, you never know if they're exactly going to match, but it did, and I was so excited when it arrived. I also found in my stash poppers for the back, which matched exactly, so it was a bit fortuitous, this dress, really. Now the only thing I'd say about this pattern is when I make dresses for little girls, I like there to be as few exposed seams as possible. I think it's much more comfortable for them if edges are enclosed, so French seams or bodices that are fully lined so that you can enclose those raw edges. I think it makes them last longer as well, as they're just not being tugged about so much. Now the pattern instructions for this one had you just sewing the bodice lining to the skirt and overlocking the edges. So I prefer not to do that, so all that I did was fold up the edge of the bodice lining, fold up the raw edge of the skirt, and then I just hand sewed that in place. So just a word of warning, if you decide to try that pattern, that may not bother you, but I particularly like raw seams to be enclosed if I can. It was a straightforward pattern. Peony Pattern's instructions are brilliant. They've got lots of photographs for you to follow, so it is a super pattern if you are a beginner sewist. It certainly holds your hand through it. The only part that was slightly tricky was making sure that I lined up these pocket seams when I was attaching the bodice to the skirt. But otherwise it was a lovely sew. It came together quickly and she looks so sweet wearing it. I love the bright colours, and again I'm hopeful that this will be able to be worn in winter with perhaps a nice mustard pair of tights and a long sleeve vest. So thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed all of those makes. I'm quite surprised I got quite a lot sewn up in August. I think it's just been because all the children's clubs haven't been running, so we've had a few more evenings at home and we all really enjoyed wearing our me-mades away on holiday. Do leave me a comment below and let me know which of those you enjoyed, and if you did enjoy the video please give it a thumbs up and a like, as that just helps YouTube to then share the video with others who might also enjoy it. So thanks so much for watching, stay healthy, stay happy, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye!